Hi, Paul. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Or tonight?
A bit wet. But not too bad.
You found the studio or apartment studio, right?
Just about. I went around the houses a little bit, but I got here eventually.
So before this, you sent me a message saying if I was going to the 48-hour film. Yeah. So were you involved with that, or were you just a spectator? Or
no, I actually got involved in that very late on.
All right.
On the Thursday before the 48-hour started.
Oh, wow.
So I've been thinking about doing it, and I'd forgotten about it. And then I thought, I really want to do it. And I was chatting to a guy in the office because we work in a creative studio. I work in a creative studio. And I said, should we try and get a team together? This was on the Monday.
Yeah.
And it's like, we thought, who can we get? And then we're like, the hardest thing's going to be getting the actors because we don't really, there's a couple of people in the studio that might be all right.
On short notice too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we thought, well, maybe we won't. And then I got a message from Ben, who you know.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he was joining a team. And he said, if you're interested in joining a team, there's this girl, Boya. She's on a team and they're looking for an editor.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I'm not an editor by trade. I can edit, but I'm not an editor by trade. I don't really want to do that.
Yes.
But I said, connect me with the guy. So he connected me with Boya, who then connected me with the director, Finton.
Right.
I don't know if you know Finton. He's only been in China a year, but nice guy. Okay. And I just thought, so I messaged him and said, look, I'm interested in helping a team. Ideally, I want to be the director, but
yeah,
I'm too late. I haven't got a team. If you need some hands, I'm kind of happy to help.
Yeah.
I said, why don't we meet for a coffee or a lunch or something, just have a chat.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really for me just chemistry check. You want to meet someone you're going to spend a weekend with.
Yeah.
You kind of want to know that they're going to be okay.
Yeah. Under pressure and
exactly. And I met up with Finton, the guy, and I actually brought my editor from our studio along, but unfortunately he had to go home for on Friday. Had to go back to Malaysia.
Yeah, right.
Because of family emergency, so he couldn't get involved. And I just thought, Friday I was thinking, should I do it? Should I not do it? And then Saturday morning I woke up and I messaged Praga, actually, who was the producer.
Oh, there you go.
I said, do you need some hands on the shoot? And she said, yeah, come down. I said, okay, I'll just come. I'll be hands, whatever you need me to do. And so I turned up, and then chatting with Finton and the team, and then started, fixing various little problems around, like trying to light candles with a lighter that's run out.
Oh dear.
And we're shooting in Harrow School, and we're looking around and there was, even the security guard didn't smoke. Nobody on set smoked. And the only light we had was just doing a spark and nothing else. And I'm like, and then I saw a bottle of hand sanitizer.
Oh yeah.
That's 70% alcohol.
Ah, I got it.
Put it on the wick, bang, all the candles lit.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be your fixer. I'm going to fix all your shit. So I did a lot, whatever I could, wherever I could help. I'm not a prima donna. I just wanted to be involved really. And then, to be honest, I didn't stay the whole night. They stayed till 3 or 4 in the morning. I left early because I had to go to a dinner.
Mm.
But on the Sunday, Finton sent me the first cut and said, "Can you have a look, see what you think?"
Mm.
And I made a couple of suggestions. We did a little bit of a tweak in the edit, but then I also managed to persuade my colorist at our studio. I messaged her Sunday morning. Said, "Are you working today? Are you up to it? Are you busy?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I'm going to be in the studio because I've got a job on." I said, "Can you spare me an hour of grading for a 48-hour film?" And wonderful Agua, she's one of the best colorists in China. She's really right. And she went, "Yep, okay, I'll do it." And so we got a very quick grade done on it. And then we were sitting in our studio Sunday afternoon, doing the grade, finishing the edit, putting it all together, trying to put the titles on it. Yeah. Time's ticking away.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
And like Finton's like, what credit do you want? I said, it doesn't matter. I don't care. And they had me down as production assistant. He said, you can't be a production assistant. So they put me down as exec producer, which was
right.
Nice. But I don't.
Nice
think
credit
I did.
for.
Yeah, nice credit. I don't think I really. They appreciate what I did. And it was great. It was a great team. Had a lot of fun, and I'll definitely do it again. Probably with some of those guys as well.
And have they announced the winner yet? Or
no, they haven't. They had the screening, which I thought I might bump into you at, but then you couldn't make it. And it was only because I was checking my ticket and I saw your name
Yeah.
on the list.
I had the ticket, but when they changed the time,
Oh, did they change the time?
yeah,
Right.
I had the show myself, and
Okay.
we had to change the times as well. And sound check was in the afternoon, and then
Oh yeah, because there was a lot of fun and games getting the actual screening. It got moved. Yeah.
But apparently, there's going to be a second one.
There will be a screening of I think all the nominations and winners. Maybe not all the films.
Okay.
So there were 21 films. I have to say, I think the standard was pretty good.
Yeah.
Last time I went was about pre-COVID, so probably 2020.
Yeah, I went to
very
one.
hit and miss.
Well, I went to one. Ben invited me, and it was great. Seeing, you could just tell the amount of time that they put into it, and they had certain rules where you couldn't wear like brand names.
Yeah.
You had to have a lighter, and you had to say something like a line about Shanghai or something,
right?
As a part of the things that you had to do. So. Yeah, it was just very interesting. And one team got disqualified because wearing a Nike shirt. I was like,
yeah, that would suck. The amount of work you put in there. To be honest, wearing non-branded clothes is a pretty basic filmmaking thing. It's like he says wearing a Gibson shirt. Yeah. You kind of, certainly when you're doing commercials, you can't have you can't have other brand names, and it's mainly because they want to put the films out.
Yeah, right.
And if it's got a brand on it, you can't really do that.
Nothing wrong with the Gibson guitar, mate. It's my favourite guitar.
I think they will show probably. I don't know. I don't know how many of them will get nominated and get through. To be honest, I think our film's okay. I think there's better one. I'm not sure that we're going to win.
I heard that there was a production staff that.
There's a couple of teams that clearly
take it pretty serious.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled some strings in a proper production company, but very late and.
Right.
But there's clearly the credits on the end. There were like 4 or 5 production companies.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay, they've got backing.
Yeah, but does that take the fun out of it for you, like knowing that, or is it just the whole experience for you?
I think the experience is great because it's just that camaraderie, and I mean, I didn't get involved in the script writing because I come from that background. I was like, if I was a team leader, 100% I'd be there. But I thought they've already got about 5 people going, and I'm just going to be another voice, and I'm just going to let them do what they do, and I won't get involved at that stage this time. Next time I probably would.
Yeah, right.
What I like about it is the challenge of, you get the brief, you get your genre, and you get a prop. Like I said, you get prop. You get a line and you get a character,
right? And
they have to be in the story.
Yes.
Now, I would say 50% of the films, it's really crowbarred in. It's not really, and that was kind of, sorry team, but my issue with my team was, it was one of those films where the prop and the line weren't really central to the story.
Okay.
They were there.
But that must be pretty, again, on short notice, trying to write lines into a prop and a...
Maybe, because some have done it very well. Some look like they've obviously already got a script prepared and just crowbarred it in.
Right.
I know our one wasn't a pre-prepared script.
Okay.
I know they came up with it on the Friday night.
Right.
So
that's interesting.
That I think was legit. It's just because I come from I write commercials for my living, and that is like, you've got 60 seconds and you've got to have this product and you've got to say this message. So I think for me that's easy. I feel like I could easily write a story completely about the character and product. I might be proven wrong next year. I had an idea that I thought, well, that there you go, there's your idea, just write that. But again, it depends on, maybe that was just that theme work. But next year I would like to have a go at writing. And maybe directing, but it depends what team I'm with. I mean, I like working with the guys that we work with. So,
and it's not just in Shanghai; it's worldwide.
It's worldwide.
Now. Yeah. I've seen people do it in New York and South America and Europe. So it's a big thing. So
it's a big thing. Yeah. I think the best 3 films from here get sent to the global awards, and then they have a jury of, I don't know, they're probably pretty big industry people out in the States that actually judge the final winners. So, but if you search on YouTube 48 Hour, you see hundreds of films.
Yeah.
So there's loads on there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a real good experience, and I'll definitely go to the second one if it fits into the schedule.
But you haven't been on a team then?
No, never been on the team. I went to watch it. Paul, you seem to be a busy man. Like, you did that.
Yeah.
Where do you fit in the
PechaKucha?
PechaKucha.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was one weekend. Was that the weekend after, or
PechaKucha was last Friday? So
last Friday.
The 2 weeks after, I think. 2 weeks after the film. Yeah.
So we've had George on the podcast a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
He was telling us all about it. So how did you get involved with him? And it seems pretty easy. Like, I didn't see the video, but I saw the pictures of you very confident up on stage, being able to talk about yourself.
It was actually the third time I've done it.
Right.
The first one I did about a year ago, and I can't remember how someone introduced me to. I think it was because of my art thing, which we'll probably talk about later.
Right,
I think someone introduced me to George about that, and said, "Oh, why don't you do a talk on that?" And they were looking for a venue, and we actually hosted it in our studio because they were looking for a different venue.
Right.
So I did one then, and then that went down really well. So I did a second one. It's kind of a bit of a buzz. You get a bit of a buzz. Like, I want to do another one.
Yeah.
So I had an idea for another one. So I did another one about. I think that I did that one about April this year.
Yeah.
And then they had this one, and it's always a different subject, completely different subject. And then this one, John actually asked me, who's the other organizer? There's John and George.
Right.
He actually messaged me and said, "Do you want to do another one? Because it's a really big venue, and we kind of liked your other two. Do you want to do another one?" I was like, "If I can think of an idea, I'll do one." Yeah.
So what was, I know the one before was about designers.
Yeah.
But what was this one about?
This one was about mavericks in music. So
that's a curveball.
Yeah. Well, I used to be a DJ, and I love music.
Yes.
Music's one of my big things. But there was there's Estron, which is like a founders and investors conference on last weekend, and PechaKucha managed to get one of the stages at that event, which is a big stage. I mean, I think it probably I reckon it would seat 200 people. We had about half that, I think, just over 100.
Yeah.
And it was great. It's a great venue. The screen was just massive, massive screen.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's a buzz. It went down well. The talk went down well. But the theme was about dare to disrupt.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm not. You probably know a bit of PechaKucha is 20 slides that automatically change every 20 seconds.
Right.
You're meant to not really have much text on it. It's meant to mainly be visual. So you kind of talk over the slides, but you have no control, which is the first time it's quite unnerving.
Right. And
you realise that 20 seconds when you're actually talking is not very long.
Yeah.
Because it was about disruption, I had this idea of music, and I'm like, well, if I do music, you've got to hear it. You've got to hear what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I messaged John and I said, look, listen, can I do something different? Can I use sound in my presentation? He said, how are you going to do that? Well, what I'll do is I'll make each slide kind of half audio and half blank, so that then I can talk a bit and then you hear the thing I'm talking about. Right. And he was like, yeah, okay. It's not the normal way, but let's do it. And I did it. Thursday night, went and did a sound check just to check that they actually had audio for the screens, because the screens are, they're normally just to show the people on stage. We did the sound check, and then did it on Friday night, and it was good. Yeah, a lot of people afterwards saying they enjoyed it. Yeah, it looked like a good crowd there as well. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I was just talking about people who break the rules in music. So like first example was like, the electric guitar. People made electric guitars. Scientists made electric guitars mainly as a way of showing off what electricity could do, right? But also to make guitars louder for performance. And then the musicians, the mavericks, cranked up the volume, cranked up 11. The distortion to 11, and got this new sound and created a whole new type of music, rock and roll and rock music. Yeah. And so it was kind of that on that, and then I talked about how hip hop came about, and then about sampling and people who, again, sampling was the original idea by the scientists, is we can sample every musical instrument and you can play it on a keyboard. But the Mavericks went, no, I'm going to sample a hammer, and I'm going to sample a saucepan and a sheep, and make music out of that. Yeah. And so it created a whole new different thing that wasn't really intended for it. So it was kind of that was the theme of the talk. It went down well. It's good. I kind of probably needed a bit longer than 20 seconds of slide, but it was enough. It worked.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about your DJing a bit later, but speaking of music, and it seems like you've got a bit of a knowledge for music. You had a run-in with Johnny Rotten.
I did. Wow, you've done your homework. Yes, you have done your homework. Yeah.
Tell me that story. I was going to wait till right to the end, but he's a legend in the punk rock.
He is a legend in punk rock, and it was a lot of debate about him selling out. So again, I work in advertising, and I was working on a butter brand in UK.
Of all the things Johnny Rotten's promoting,
we were looking for a British icon. The idea was that basically these people buy, they don't buy the butter because it's British, although it's a way of saying it's British, but they buy it because it's British. They love the taste. Yeah, that was the basic gist of so a bit like 48 Hour. You need to have a celebrity,
right?
They need to talk about butter, and they need to say it's not because it's British, it's because it tastes great. Yeah. And then write a story. So that was the brief, if you like. Yeah. And we thought, what about Johnny Rotten? Because he's so. There were several people in the mix for it. I think Julian Clary was one, but we were like, well, not. And then
when was this? Obviously in the 80s.
Was 2008.
2008. Oh wow, I'm way off. I was like the 80s and 90s. Johnny Rotten.
I'm not that old.
Well, but I'm just saying, how old is Johnny Rotten then?
He's in his 60s now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was probably in his 50s then.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so we approached him. Basically, the deal was we had to go and meet him in Amsterdam. A bit of he wanted to do a chemistry check. The same as what I said about the 48 Hour team.
Yeah, fair play.
So we went. Me and the guy I work with. So in agencies, you work in a creative team. You have a copywriter and a art person who kind of you're both creative people, but one takes more responsibility for the text, the copy, and the other takes responsibility for what it looks like in its broadest sense. But you kind of both do both things. Just someone has to take responsibility, sign a bit of paper at the end. And so me and Gordon, great friend of mine that I worked with for a long time, we went on on the Eurostar to Amsterdam, and we met Johnny Rotten at about 10 a.m. in a pub in Amsterdam.
Of course.
And we got pissed with him. We just drank all day beside a canal with Johnny Rotten. Wow. Got hammered. And then he just said, I like you guys, I'll do it.
Oh, wow.
And then we got the train back to London. Uh-huh. And then it was the contract was signed and done by a production team, and then we did the shoot. Yeah, the shoot. I don't know. The shoot was probably like a month later.
I want to see this now. I've got to see this ad.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was basically him in the countryside, chasing cows around things like that, talking about how the taste of the countryside and it's British, it's pure British. And the reason he buys it isn't because it's British, but because it tastes great.
Wow.
He was like a 5-year-old kid in a 55-year-old man's body.
Yeah.
But he's very smart. I liked him. He's a very smart guy and a good guy, a nice guy. He's not like a prima donna. So the second day of the filming, we were starting at 5 a.m. because we wanted the sunrise, and it was meant to be raining, and he was walking through with an umbrella, but it was a long shot, so we didn't need to be in it. It was going to be, and we were talking about the double. You don't have to be up till 7, Johnny, because the double's going to do the first thing. He's no. If it's a film about me, it's going to be me. I'm going to get up. Don't worry. Like,
yeah, right.
You don't have to. No. I'm going to do it. And he got up.
Fair enough.
And did it.
It's good.
And then we went at the lunch break on the second day. We made the mistake of suggesting to go to the pub with him, me and the guy I work with. And he necked.
Doesn't mind a pint, yeah.
He necked about 4 pints. Really fast. And then he in the afternoon, the first shot in the afternoon, he sat down and he's wearing this yellow waistcoat, and he basically had walked through some mud, and he got all the mud off his shoes, rubbed it on the yellow waistcoat, rubbed it on his face, and then looked at the cameraman and said, "You didn't want me to do that, did you?" And then the director was just like, the director was brilliant because he just said, no, Johnny, we didn't really want you to do that, but
wow,
they got him cleaned up. You know, 'cause there wasn't another waistcoat; they had to clean it up. So that lost about 10-15 minutes. And then he wouldn't say the line that we needed. The line was I love a bit of butter on my crumpet. And this kind of buxom farm girl hands him a crumpet of
it's just so out of context with this punk rock legend.
Exactly. But he was trying to be punk. You know?
Right.
He was kind of doing his punk thing.
Yeah.
And then he just kept saying the wrong line, and I think to start with because he'd forgotten, and then later he was just enjoying.
After 4 points as well.
I think later he was just taking the piss.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the director, I think we did about 70 takes, and the director said, "Listen, Johnny," and he spoke to him like a kid. He said, "Listen, Johnny, look, we can keep doing this all day if you want, but we're not going to stop until you've said the line. So why don't you just say it for us?" And And next time he did it. But it was literally, I had to talk to him like a child.
Yeah.
But no, I say he was great fun to work with, very nice to work with. He stole the jacket at the end of the shoot. It was like £1,000 jacket. So he was punk all the way through it in his own way.
That's rock and roll right there.
And he basically did it because he wanted to do a Pill, Public Image Limited, his other band, which because he doesn't write. He left the Sex Pistols and kind of fell out with them. Yeah. And he wanted to do a tour with Public Image Limited, and he did the commercial so he could fund doing another tour. So he actually did a tour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good. And then but all the media went crazy about him selling out. And it's like, but punk was the whole point of punk was commercials. You know, it was a commercial thing. The whole point. And you know, what's more punk than selling out and doing an ad?
There you go.
It's kind of like, and so I think it was good. I think he enjoyed it. I mean, we get a mention in his biography.
Oh wow!
Not by name, unfortunately, but he does mention
the crew
doing the commercial.
Yeah, right.
But so it's fun. It was I'd forgotten about that. That's kind of a long time ago, but fun story.
Wow.
My brush with punk.
Yeah, right.
And I actually went to a Sex Pistols reunion gig.
Oh, there you go.
Backstage at Sex Pistols. So I can say I was backstage at the Sex Pistols gig,
nice.
even though it wasn't in the 70s.
Yeah, right.
It was in the 2000s. But
and I'm sure having that beer with him at the pub the first time you met him, he would have just went off with his stories, right? Or
I mean, to be honest, I can't remember much about that day. I just know we just sat there and drank all day.
Yeah, just been in awe of this man.
Yeah, but he's very down to earth on one-on-one. It's all.
I think the media hypes it up a little bit as well. You know.
I mean, he can be a twat if he wants to.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, there was no point in there. You know, I've worked with other celebrities where you can't even talk to them. You're just like, what's the point? He's sitting with that. You know, he goes for us to the pub. He's sitting, you know, on the day, and he's just fine.
If you don't like doing it, why do it for just the money? I don't know. Anyway,
exactly.
So we're going from one music extreme to another. You did DJing for nearly 20 years. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started DJing when I was 14. And then
what was it like in London in that time?
Back at that time, I mean, when I started, I was doing it at a local youth club.
Oh yeah.
And I used to do every party there, and then did other people's parties.
So what was in your set then?
Oh god, it would have been mainly pop then, pop and punk, and pop, punk and disco really, not quite commercial stuff.
When was
that? Would have been mid 80s.
Mid 80s.
Showing my age now. Yeah. It would
hip-hop
have been
and rap, or
it was hip hop.
Pop.
Hip hop was on the scene. I mean, by the time I went, so that when I was that was 14, and when I went to uni at 18, it was the rave scene and the Manchester scene. So when I was at uni in Preston, which is near Manchester. Oh yeah. And right in the time of the Manchester thing, and that's so I was playing acid house and Manchester, all the Manchester bands then. So I paid my way through uni. I was doing 2 nights a week at the student union, which was I did Tuesdays and Saturday nights. Yeah, right. Which is just brilliant fun. I just really like, and I'd get all my mates would carry my because this is when you used to play on vinyl, not
right. Right.
So I just gave each of my mates a box of records, and they all get in for free.
I just had this conversation on the last podcast, and we both agreed how much we both miss vinyl, the sound.
Yeah.
Shh at the start and the crackle and you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It just had that warm, fuzzy sound that you can't really get on a CD or like something or streaming.
Yeah, I mean, I always DJed on vinyl because the digital decks weren't around by the time I stopped DJing, they were just coming in, and actually I never really learned the digital way of doing it. I've recently picked up a set again, and I want to get back into it, but I just want to get more confident with the kit now because I'm used to just holding my finger on the edge of a record to get it the right speed.
Yes.
Now I know I can just push a button. But I got to make sure I push the right button because there's so many fucking buttons.
I hear you.
Excuse me, beep. There's so many buttons that I mean, most of them are. To be honest, I mean, when I watch DJs now, I just go, "You're not doing anything."
That's right.
I watch DJs and I'm like, "You're not even wearing headphones, man."
Yeah.
You know, try and pretend you're listening.
Yeah.
And they're all twiddling, and you're turning up a bit and turning up and down a bit again and taking the top off, but you're not really doing anything.
Where's the buttons? I can do that.
Yeah, and the thing for me, the skill with DJing is not really about. I mean, the mixing is part of it. I mean, I was mixing on vinyl, but it's what you put on next. So I'd mix random crap in. I mean, I feel like if I'd been maybe 3 years older, I might have been the right age. To hit the Balearic, the people like Paul Oakenfold and all that crowd. I was playing the same kind of music as them, but they were all a little bit older, and they were all the ones that went off and became the big Ibiza scene. Because I was playing that kind of eclectic thing where you put dance music, but then you put a Rolling Stones track in it. You put Sympathy for the Devil in, which has got a great to it, and then you play it into dance records, and it was. So it's about what you play, whereas now every set is just like dun, 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 dun. I'm not old, but I'm like there's it's about bringing the room.
You want to show a bit of variety, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I used to love you've got Banker records which you bring that room up, and then what I do is I just chuck on something completely random like the Wombles, or I don't know if you know that, or like just something really shit. But see what happens.
But that works so true. Like the last show we played, we did the music for Billie Jean, Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But she sung "A Brick on the Wall."
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice. That would go. Yeah.
And it was a matchup.
Brilliant.
And then we swapped it around.
Yeah.
Then we started doing "Brick on the Wall," and she started singing Billie Jean.
Nice.
And
I might steal that.
yeah. And then he did the "Brick on the Wall" guitar solo.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And it just, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what I miss about a good DJs that really, like someone like Fatboy Slim. He plays that really eclectic thing. You know, every track is different. It's up and down, up and down.
Is he still doing?
He does still do.
Yeah, okay.
He still does shows. He does a Brighton show on the beach. I think it's still going every year. And then there's a little club in Chelmsford in England which holds maybe 100 people. That after COVID was in real problems, and he played 2 charity gigs there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
wow.
Just to support them, didn't charge them anything. And
that's awesome.
So yeah, I think he's because he's got a very eclectic story and music. I think he's a really interesting guy.
Very interesting.
And I like his stuff. So yeah, I mean I'm kind of semi-retired, but I'm thinking about dipping my toe back in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I've got to figure out, because my set, I was playing, well, so 80s, 90s, all the way through the 90s. I started doing some clubs in London, and that was all mainly house music, bit of acid house, but I'd always throw in other stuff as well. So it was kind of like the Balearic sound.
But it also says, and maybe you're still doing it, but it said you're also a comedian.
I originally started it because I'm actually really shy.
Right.
Believe it or not, I'm really not good with strangers. And I did it as I was doing therapy to try and get more confidence.
Really?
He said, why don't you do a stand-up comedy course? I'm like, no way. No.
Yeah, that's completely...
It's like your worst nightmare.
Not something that you want to be doing this year.
So I went and did one. I went and did a course, and I got about halfway through it, and still remember I basically, the first few weeks are just kind of teaching you a bit about structure, writing jokes and how they work, which is actually very
who was doing
it was a course that run by a comedian in London.
Okay.
Part of Amuse Moose is the kind of group. I don't know if it's still called that now.
Maybe the American people don't, or maybe they do, but you had some amazing comedians and comedy shows, late 80s and the early 90s, and some of the best comedy movies ever. So, yeah.
I think certainly British TV comedy is some of the best.
My dad used to love, I remember sitting there watching The Goodies.
The Goodies, the Two Ronnies, Fawlty Towers.
Yeah,
all those things.
I'm just sitting there watching it with him and just, Who are these guys, Dad? They're crazy guys. Yeah.
I mean, I think as a kid, I always used to like making my friends laugh, and I remember one of my friends always said, "I can't come to your house for dinner because you always make me laugh when we're eating." So I kind of like making people laugh, but I'm also, like I say, I'm also really, really actually quite shy, which I guess is true of a lot of proper comedians. I say I'm not. And
even the big ones, like apparently Kurt Cobain was really shy.
Yeah,
playing in front of hundreds of thousands. Yeah,
I know. I got halfway through the course, and then they said, "Right, next week you need to come and tell us your first joke that you've written."
Right.
And everyone went, and it's probably 20 people were sitting around in a circle, and everyone went round, and then it came to me, and I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, right.
I can't do it. And
what was it? Can you remember?
I can't remember. It's funny.
Right.
I wish I could, because that would be a good addition to the story, but I can't remember what it was. But
it's not a good way to start your confidence.
No, but the tutor was really good. The guy said, just lie on the floor, shut your eyes, and just say the words that you've written down.
Yeah, right.
And so I did, and then I got up and I thought, and people laughed, but you're like, well, they're just laughing because they have to.
Yeah.
Because we're all there helping each other.
Yes.
And then I went home and thought, I'm never fucking going back. I'm never going back. Can't do that. And then one of the guys off the course, one of the other guys, because we all swapped phone numbers. This is before smartphones and things. It was about 2002. One of the guys rang me up and he said, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm all right." He said, "That was hard for you, wasn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it's really hard." He said, "I want you to make me a promise." I said, "What?" He said, "You got to promise me you're going to come back next week because what you said was funny." And I'm like, he said, "Just promise me you'll come back." And I went back, and it was amazing. You know, Peter, thank you, Peter. I went back and carried on the course, and then it got to the end, and you've got to do a 5-minute show.
Wow.
And to a proper audience.
1 minute's not 5 minutes, and then in front of a crowd?
In front of a crowd, so in front of everybody's friends and family. So it's kind of safe-ish. I did that, and it went well. And then it becomes an addiction, because the buzz when you come off.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
Which is
especially
like,
getting the last.
PechaKucha's the same.
Right.
Because of it's the feedback of like, oh my God, people like it. Oh,
yeah.
So it's like, I want to do another one. So I started doing regular gigs. Always before the gig, I had to get really drunk, absolutely terrified.
Bit of Dutch courage.
Waiting, absolutely terrified. I mean, the first gig I did after that one was at a place called the Comedy Cafe in London, and it's about 150 seater venue,
right? And
it was full. I went in and I got there really early because I messaged the organizer, because basically on the circuit in London you have to message you get to know the organisers, and you message them, and if they know who you are, they put you on, and if you're a new act, it's quite hard to get on the bill.
Right.
So there's these new act nights. Anyway, I managed to secure a place on this thing, and she said get there early because it's first come first serve for the slots. And I thought, I don't want to go on first. So I get there really early, but I don't know who she is.
Right.
And I'm quite shy, so I'm not approaching. It gets to like 7:30 before the things. I've been there an hour looking for someone who looks like they might be organising this comedy thing. Can't see anyone. And then she rings me and says, "Well, are you coming?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here. I've been here since 6:30." Oh well. I'm sitting over here. I go. She's right. You can go on first or last. It's up to you. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm not going on first. So I'll go last then.
All right.
And
headlining.
Well, they have the winner. They do a vote, and they have the winner of the previous week.
Oh, right, okay.
Goes on very last.
Got it.
So I go on last, and then it went really well. I mean, it went really well. And the funny thing is, I'd written some of my lines, just prompts on my hand.
Yeah.
And so I got halfway through the set, and then I went, I'd forgotten. I was like, fuck. I looked, and it's on this hand.
All right.
Because I'm right-handed. Right?
Yeah,
But I hold the mic in my left hand.
Right.
So in front of the audience, I just very blatantly went.
There you go.
And they loved it because it's
Right.
real.
Yes.
Right.
It's so
I've
true.
just realised I'm left-handed. I've just realised I'm right-handed. Right.
Ba-boom.
And it went really well. And then after that gig, I came second in the vote at the end out of 8, which was not bad. I didn't win, but people afterwards going, when it came out, I was thinking, when's your next gig? I said, I don't know. It's my first one.
But it's like you said before, it's an addiction. Yeah,
addiction. So then you're like
any sort of live thing, and especially with music as well, it's the same feeling.
Yeah, it is, because it's just live feedback of appreciation.
Because you can jam all you want, and then until you get that live reaction of
it's funny. I mean, you know exactly the feeling. Yeah. So I did it for about 2 years, and then I actually got a job in Vietnam.
All right.
So I went out to Vietnam. And I stopped because I was working in Vietnam for a year. And when I got back, I just lost my bottle. And I was like, I don't want to start again.
So going from London to Vietnam.
Yeah.
Why was that? And what was your impressions of Vietnam? I love Vietnam.
I love it. I mean, so basically I was working. I'd lost my job in 2002. There was the industry went through a lot of turmoil, and I got made redundant. It was 2002. I was freelancing, and it was someone said, do you want to go and freelance in Vietnam? And I'm like, I'd never been to Asia.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Not even Thailand. And they're like, I'm not really sure, but I've got another job on, so probably not. And then the other job fell through, so I rang back the guy who had introduced me and said, look, I'm available. And the next day I'm on a plane to Vietnam.
Wow.
Quick. Land in Vietnam.
What city?
In Ho Chi Minh.
Oh yeah.
At like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my God, oh my God,
that's a culture shock.
What have I done? Because the whole airport is full of people shouting, waiting for their families, because the families, back then travel was quite not as big as it is now, for the Vietnamese, and the whole family there seeing people off or meeting people back, and it's like, oh my God, it's all these people.
Yeah.
Luckily we had a guy I worked with at the time, and we had a driver pick us up, took us to the hotel. And we're wide awake because of jet lag.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's go and find where the office is. It's only like 200, 300 meters from the hotel. So we walk out, and everyone's coming up towards us. We're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What? Fuck.
You buy this, yeah.
Why don't they just want to be friendly? Because back then it was quite unusual to have white people around, because there was no, like in Vietnam then, there was not a single Western brand.
Right.
When we left at the end of that year, which I think was 2003, it was either 2003 or 2004, the first KFC was opening in Vietnam.
Yeah, wow.
And that was the only Western brand there. There was no Starbucks, nothing like that. Which now they're all over the place.
And their history as well, like they've been... The Russians have had a go. The French have had a go. The US have had a go. China's had a go. There's a lot of respect, but
and they're lovely people.
So was that your first overseas or first time to Asia?
That was my first time to Asia. I've been to the States and been to Mexico, but that was my first time to anywhere in Asia. Yeah.
So Vietnam was mine as well.
Yeah.
Coming from Australia, economy's great.
Yeah.
And then seeing these people, how they work and how they live, and it's like, oh my God, there's no health and safety checks or anything like that. It's just 300 wires just with electric tape, for electricity for the small cities. And I was like, we're not in Kansas anymore.
No. It's but I loved it. I mean,
same.
The original contract was for a 2-week freelance thing, so we went for 2 weeks, and like I say, first 3 days we were like, what have we done? And then by the end of the 2 weeks, like, I love it.
Yeah.
And the guys we were working for were like, we really like you guys. Do you want to come back? And we're like, yeah, definitely. So we flew back to London for about a week, and then went back out to Vietnam and ended up staying out there another year. And staying in a service department, and really enjoyed it. Really loved it. Absolutely loved it. So. And
did you get a chance to go anywhere else in Vietnam?
We used to go to
Hanoi or Hawaii.
I've never been to Hanoi. I went to Hawaii. Went to Phan Thiet, which is like about a 4-hour drive up the middle. Mui Ne, which I think is now quite built up, but at the time it was like a fishing village with a few,
a few little beach
hut things, which was amazing. We loved that.
Going down to the Mekong Delta. And
he did the Mekong Delta.
Yeah,
those things we did at the weekend. We kind of, when we had time off, we'd go and do those things and rent a motorbike.
Yes,
drive around. Loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Loved it. I miss it. I mean, I've always when I left there, I was like, I really want to come back here, but I went back to London because actually the guy I was working with was getting homesick. And it was getting to the end of the year, and he was like, "I want to go back." And then when we got back, he said, "I don't want to go back to it." And I'm like, "Really?" He was like, "No, I'm going to stay in London." So, and then we fell into this job in London, and I was like, it was always nagging away in the back of my mind. And then cut to 10 years later, I got offered a job out in Singapore, and so bang, straight back out. Yeah.
So that was your next move, and then how long did you stay there in Singapore for?
I was in Singapore for 4 years, and then moved.
4 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, it's quite a while. I was like probably 3.5 to be fair.
I've only spent a little time in Singapore. So what's the difference there between Vietnam and Singapore? It's a bit more.
Singapore's way more developed.
Yeah, right.
Way more developed. Yeah. And there's still like there's a massive disparity of rich and poor in Singapore. There's a lot of still very poor people.
Got it.
But there's a lot of very, very wealthy people.
Rich, and the casinos down there, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of wealthy Chinese money in there as well.
Got
in
it.
Singapore.
Yeah. Isn't it the history, the heritage or something? Yeah. Chinese heritage.
Yeah.
They still speak Chinese Mandarin.
They do. They learn Mandarin and English at school.
Right.
Some of them speak Hokkien, which is another dialect, but some of the older Singaporeans. And then there's quite a large Malay community there as well. So they speak Bahasa.
Right.
Yeah. So it's quite mixed.
And would you go back there and live there?
I would, but it's got really expensive. So it was expensive when I was there, but since COVID, the prices have gone crazy.
So were you there during that COVID?
No, I left there in 2016.
Right.
At that time, the rental prices were dropping, but rents basically doubled after COVID.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because a lot of Chinese nationals went down and bought property or moved there, and it's pushed the house prices and everything, like taxis, everything is nearly double what it was when I was there.
No,
it's crazy. So I'd have to get paid very well to go back.
Yeah. So then why the move to Shanghai then? Maybe just China in general, right?
Yeah, well, I came to China a few times from Singapore on business, and then I was working for an Saatchi & Saatchi advertising agency.
Got it.
And our main client, the large part of our business was Procter & Gamble. Okay. And they basically, Procter & Gamble the way they used to do their creative work is they used to create work in Singapore for Asia Pacific.
Right.
And China was what they called it an adaptation market. So they'd take the work we did for Asia Pac, Japan and that, and translate it to Chinese and run it in China. But they decided quite rightly that China is a way bigger, more important market.
Yeah, course,
so they flipped it so that China became the lead market and APAC followed.
Got it.
So all of the business, and myself included, came up to Shanghai in 2016.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Was that still the Wild West in Shanghai at that time, or does it start to...
It was wilder.
Right.
I think it's like they say that, when you get here, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of change it's been a lot of change in... Yongkang Lu was still open when I got here. For about the first... it shut about 6 months after I got here. But I'd been there a lot when I'd been up here on business, which was, it was like the party street.
Right, yeah.
And that all got moved into what's now 158.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a bit more underground and out of the way because the neighbours were throwing buckets of water out the window. And
right.
So yeah, it was still a bit wild, but not as wild as it had been, but wilder than it is now.
Right. Yeah, well,
sure.
Rebuilding. We're in the rebuilding phase, but hopefully it's getting better. Something up. Yeah. But talking about that, you're saying that Shanghai had a bigger market for your companies.
Yeah.
You said you did a job, the first cotton diaper.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, I don't talk about that so much now. I was working on a diaper brand.
Yeah.
And, we launched.
Was that in Singapore? Or?
I was doing that in Singapore and here.
That's an interesting first cotton diaper. I mean, you wouldn't think of cotton.
Yeah. I think it was kind of partly cotton, not really.
Oh,
it had a bit of cotton in it.
Right.
But it certainly wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's marketing.
But it relates to your artwork. You've got actually an exhibition
Yes.
at the moment, and it's till the end, if my memory is correct, the end of September?
End of October.
End of October.
20th of October, but maybe they'll extend it. I think if there's not another one booked in, they'll probably give me a bit more time, hopefully.
So correct me if I'm wrong, it's the self-portrait exhibition, right?
Self-portraits, yeah.
And xiaobaoluo.
xiaobaoluo.
I was close. Close.
Yeah, xiaobaoluo.
Now, was that given to you, or was that just something that you made up, like the Chinese people with their English names?
So, no, my given Chinese name is actually Gaboen.
Right.
Which means, which is kind of a play on my surname, my family name.
Okay.
It was given to me by the company when I moved here. And that apparently, which I think is quite funny, is called Tall Distinguished Professor, is what it translates as.
Then why is your nickname on WeChat Small Paul then?
So rewinding back to being at uni,
right?
There were 3 Pauls in my year at uni in my course, and there was Tall Paul, and there was Normal Paul, and there was Small Paul, and I made it a brand. I mean, I in London, if you know, people all know me as Small Paul.
Yeah,
they just because Paul was quite a common name when I was a kid, and so there's quite a lot around.
Still very popular.
And I made a brand out of it, and it's kind of worked for me because people will go, "Do you know Paul?" And they go, "No, who? Paul? You know who?" And they go, "Small Paul." "Oh, I know Small Paul."
Yeah,
that's quite funny. So that xiaobaoluo is just that in Chinese.
Right.
Xiao is small, and baoluo is how you say Paul in Chinese.
There you go.
So that it is a literal translation of my old nickname.
Awesome.
So it's not new. Yeah.
So let's talk about the self-bore traits.
Yeah.
This sort of started during the COVID period?
It was completely COVID. It was...
Right.
Basically, I was living... we were all locked in. You went through it as well, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I went back to Australia.
Oh, you managed to get out. Okay.
I still lived it both times for a small...
So in Chinese New Year 2020, went to Hong Kong to see my girlfriend, and then I was supposed to go to a friend's wife's 40th on the 8th of February, and it was, I think the Chinese New Year was the beginning, it was the end of January, and it was like I was going to fly back to Shanghai and then fly back down to Bangkok and then down to Samui on the 7th and then stay a week for that trip, and then it was like...
So sorry, I don't normally ask this question, but when did you find out about it? Because I heard rumblings about it, but there was not too much. They try to keep it very quiet, as they do, but I did hear rumblings of some sort of flu like going around. Everyone was getting sick. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, all these shops started closing down. Okay, we're not going to work now.
Back to the diaper thing briefly. We actually made an ad for Chinese New Year. We made 3 little comedy spots for Chinese New Year with for the Pampers brand, and one of them was like it was basically about how babies make things better. Was kind of because everyone coos and likes baby, and there were 3 little spots about babies changing a situation for the better. One of them was like a kid shaking a phone and getting a lucky red packet,
right?
winning the big lucky red packet. Yes. And then another one was about a kid. They were trying to do a family photo for Chinese New Year, and they're all kind of not smiling properly, and then the baby farts, and everybody laughs, and they get a great photo. Photo. The third one was everyone on a train traveling home for Chinese New Year. And everyone's a bit tired, and then the baby yawns, and it had this little animated graphic of like the baby's breath going around the train,
right?
And it made everyone else yawn and fall asleep. But I messaged when I heard about the beginnings of this. I messaged the business director and said, "Do you think we can run that ad, because it's like spreading germs on the train?" Yes. So I don't think that one ever went out. I really don't know if they pulled it or not. So that would have been around Chinese New Year.
Right.
But basically what happened is I went to Hong Kong for a long weekend with a small bag, and then I was supposed to come back to China to go to Bangkok and Samui to see my friend's wife's 40th, and then I was going to go from there to go to Europe to go snowboarding.
Actually,
no, I was going to go back to China and then and I was thinking maybe I should go back from Hong Kong, get my snowboard and go to Thailand. And then every day it was changing. And then they cancelled my flight back to Shanghai. So I was like, well, I'll just go straight to Samui.
Yeah.
I'll get to Samui and have the 40th birthday. And it's all quite normal. Everyone, you know, people flew in and it was kind of okay. And then suddenly it's all starting to kick off more.
Yeah.
And then my boss says, well, you don't have to come back. You can come back. China was still open. He said, you can come back, but I don't mind if you want to work from anywhere. So I'm like, okay, I thought I'd work from Samui for a month.
Yeah.
And then if it's all calmed down, I'll go back, get my snowboard and go to Europe for my skiing holiday in March.
Got it.
Anyway, that never happened.
Yes.
So I ended up going from Thailand to Singapore and then straight back to England, still with only a long weekend Hong Kong, warm clothes.
Right.
To winter in London. And I ended up stuck there for a year and a half. So I did all through like COVID in Europe, which was, you know, I actually had quite a good time because my parents were old and I stayed with them. I cooked dinner for them every day. I sat and watched TV with them every day. It actually gave me a long time with them, which I never would have had because I've not lived there.
Same.
And even when I lived in UK, I didn't go around there very often. So it was a blessing for me and them.
Yes.
So then I eventually got back here in July 21.
Oh, yes.
18 months later, just in time for the
second one.
The second one here.
Hey, good to see you back, Paul. Take that.
Maybe I carried it everywhere. When we were doing that, everyone was doing...
That was even tougher, right? The second one here in Shanghai was really tough.
Yeah. And that was the one where it was proper, everything was closed for...
Yeah.
I think 6 weeks fully closed, and then it started to open up a bit. So during that period, everyone was doing online quizzes.
Yeah.
Which the same happened in Europe. It's funny. It's the same things that I went through in Europe happened here. And we were all doing quizzes, and it was my turn to be the quiz master. And so I was trying to think of questions that are a bit more than not just normal questions. And I thought, why don't I do a round of questions where I'll dress up as a famous painting,
right?
And people have to guess what it is and name the artist. That was the idea,
right?
So I did 5 kind of pretty crappy things like that for people to guess. They only guessed a couple of them because they're not. I think it was slightly the wrong audience as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a laugh. It got a laugh. And then after that, I was like, I posted them on Facebook after that. And all my friends in England were like, oh, those are really funny. You should do some more. I'm like, oh no, they were just for a quiz. And then I thought, I'll do one more.
Okay.
So I did another one, and then it started. Loads of people were saying, do more. And it's a bit like the comedy, the feedback, the band, the audience.
Got it.
And I'm on my own in a room, locked up, and I'm getting feedback like that.
Oh, these likes.
It lifts your spirit, and so it became an addiction again.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm going to do another one because I'll get another hit of dopamine of people in England. So I started doing them every 3 days, just finding stuff in the house that I could make a picture out, that famous picture, recreate it.
Yeah.
All of them had a mask in them, but I started getting more focused on the first 5 were just thrown together like in 5 minutes because they were just for the quiz.
Yes.
But then I started going, right, I've got to make them really good now. I've got to put the detail in. So I started putting more detail in, and then people would go, oh, it's better than the last one.
Yes.
I'm like, fuck, now I've got to do a better one.
Yes.
And I think I'd done 9, and I said, I'm only going to do one more. And I go, no, you've got to keep doing more. It's like, yeah, but I thought I'd do 10 because then that's a nice round number. And then then I suddenly had a load more ideas. Okay, maybe I'll do 15 because I've got 5 more ideas and I want to try them.
Yes.
And so carried on going. And again, every time it's like, that's even better than the last one. Like,
yeah.
So, and it was like, but then I had to start, I was running out. I had lots of ideas, but it was getting harder and harder to find stuff to do them with. There's one where it's actually a Keith Haring one. So quite often I'd see an object in the house and go, right, what can I make with that object? And then that would turn into a picture. And other times I'd think of an artist and a picture and go, I want to do something by that artist. So most of the earlier ones were kind of classical paintings, people. So they're very normal.
Yes.
But then I was like, I want to challenge myself. I want to do something a bit more weird. So I thought, I'm going to try and do Damien Hirst, right? Which is the sheep in a box. And I had these transparent plastic boxes. I thought, well, brilliant, I could just get in one of the transparent plastic boxes and it'll work. And then obviously I couldn't fit in one transparent plastic box, but I ended up managing to rig up 2 with the lids up, so it looks like one. And I found a coat with kind of this woolly lining, turned it inside out, and bingo, there's my Damien Hirst. Right. I've got to do this. And I can't remember what the one before that was, because I was like, this is so left field. No one's going to expect this one.
So here's this guy who wouldn't even say a joke in front of 10 people in a circle.
Yeah.
To now dressing up and taking photos and videos of you.
I've always liked fancy dress costume parties. I think again, it's because it's not me. It's a character.
You need to come to our shows then. Every time it's a theme at Spectres.
Okay, I'm in. Oh, and I love Spectres. My favourite venue. Yeah.
Next 26th, Drunk Disney.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm in.
Drunk Disney.
Count me in. So when it's a character, I can do it when it's a character. If it's me, feel very exposed. But I think if I can hide behind a character or something, then it becomes something else, which is I think that's, and again, so I guess that's why the pictures thing. There was 2 things. One is it's not me. I mean, I hate having my photo taken as well, and it's like, it seems so vain that I've done a whole series of pictures of myself, but it's only because they're all stupid pictures of me. They're not sensible pictures.
Yes. My favourite one is Wacko Jacko.
Oh, I love that you like that one. That's great. Actually, a girl turned up at the exhibition the other day on when I was finished setting it up, and that was her favourite. I'm like, really? It's like, it's the worst representation, but it's fun.
It is.
And that was the thing.
But when we got them all in a row, they're all lined up. That was the first one that I clicked.
Oh, brilliant.
To see what it was like. And I had to make it bigger, and I was like, that's cool.
And that was one of those. That was one that actually a friend of mine, Steve Drummond, I don't know if you know him. He's an Aussie drummer.
Yeah, right.
Drummer. I have to introduce you. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's a good guy. He sent me that and said, I bet you can't do this. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I can't do that. And then I'm sitting there thinking, and I thought, hang on, I went to a bling bling party, a Christmas party with work, so I know I've got a gold jacket somewhere and some gold shirts. I'm like, fuck it, I've got a gold suit, I can do it. But the trousers had gone brown. So I luckily had some white trousers, so I thought, well, that would do, because it's that whole Jeff Koons thing is white and gold. So yeah, it kind of worked. Ridiculous, but it worked. That was funny. And then I mean the Keith Haring one was one I liked, because again, challenging, and I just thought it was a different way of using the masks, because they've all got a mask in them. That one I thought, well, Keith Haring, my neighbour upstairs in my apartment, I always saw him wearing black masks, so I messaged him and said, can I borrow 19 of your black masks? He's like, what for? You'll see. Yeah. Just let me borrow
them on Taobao for 300 a mask.
So yeah, that was it. Was just it was finding things that inspired a picture, or just thinking of a really ridiculous picture that I could make. And it was a challenge.
And the other one was Rocket Girl.
The Rocket Girls.
Can you tell me about the Rocket Girls?
Oh, that was an ad. That was at
some pretty Chinese girls.
Yeah, they'd won. I think they won the equivalent of Britain's Got Talent or Australia's Got Talent.
Yeah, right.
In China, probably in 2018 or something, 2019.
Right.
Before COVID, they won that, and they were like the hottest band around, and in more than one sense of the word. And we got to do an ad with them, because there was actually 10 of them, but we only got 5 of them for the ad.
Right.
And it was fun. We basically made a music video. We wrote a song for them to perform.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't write the music, but we wrote the lyrics, which are not very profound.
Right. What is it? Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah. So we made a song, and then we made a music video for it, and that was kind of an ad.
Yeah. Right.
Went out on socials. I think it did pretty well. Yeah. I mean, I don't know where they are now, those girls.
Yeah.
But there was one of them was the lead, or one of the lead singers was called, I think Yang Chao Yil is her name, something like that, YCY. And she became a meme all over China for good luck. Right. So somewhere I've still got a shirt with her picture on the back, which when you walk around in China, you get all the, you can see Chinese people giggling because they think, why is the Laowai wearing that whitey white shirt? And they don't realise that I know it's lucky.
Right.
I remember going through the airport security with it on a few times, and the airport guys giggling as they're patting me down.
It says you're a creative director, you're a writer.
Yeah.
You've been in a book or you've written a book?
I've made a book of the pictures.
The pictures?
Yeah.
Was that of this collection?
This collection, yeah. So
right.
I made a book. So I've sold about 60 of them. It's a limited edition.
That's
of 88.
awesome.
Yeah.
So plug it.
Yeah. Come and buy my book. Come and see the show. Come and see the exhibition and buy a book or a picture.
Buy the book.
You can buy prints as well. I'll give you one.
Thank you.
For your, I'll give you Michael Jackson if you want that one. You have to come and have a look.
Yeah.
If you want that one, you can get one of those.
All right. The awards that you've won.
Yeah.
Like that started a long time ago.
Yeah, I haven't won many recently.
Well, yeah, not yet.
Yeah, I when I was in advertising in London, I mean, obviously you're always trying to do work to win creative awards, and
so were you creative when you were a child as well?
I was always drawing and making stuff. Lego was my big thing. I won. There was a Lego competition in my local toy shop every year, and I won it 3 times.
Right. Isn't it amazing what kids will do to play Lego?
Yeah, I mean, I still play Lego now.
Yeah. It's great. It's just amazing.
It's a great thing. And it's
if
great.
you do this all your work, then you can play Lego.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
anywhere around the world.
It's a timeless toy. I mean, they nearly went bust in the late 90s, but they managed to turn it around, and now they've really kind of kept on top of things and made it work as a brand.
Were you that creative person? Like, obviously you're a shy guy.
Yeah.
So doing it by yourself, you're not doing paintings or taking photos or anything like that?
I love taking pictures. I don't paint. I'd love to be able to paint, but I don't. I used to obviously paint as a kid, but not proper painting.
And did you live in London or outside of London?
Just outside. So
okay.
I was brought up in Kent, which is on the outskirts of London, like a suburb of London. I grew up there, went to school there, I did a foundation art course there, and then went to...
So it's always been a passion then, right?
I've always been making stuff or taking stuff apart and seeing how things work. I like to know how that stuff works.
Like car as well? Like that's something you can take.
I've taken cars apart, but I didn't manage to put them back together again.
Right.
I had a VW.
Well, you can't do it now because there's all
they're too difficult
electronic and battery powered. But
exactly, yeah. I mean, my parents are both scientists, and they were quite. Well, my dad was very musical, my sister's very musical, but so my sister played I've got 3 sisters, and they all played musical instruments. I played a bit, but then I ended up playing records instead of
guitar.
Music. I learned to play guitar just after COVID. No, during COVID. Was it after or before? No. Yeah, just before COVID. I've started learning. I can play a bit. I was in a band for a short time.
We got some music there. We got some. Can we find that online somewhere?
No. Well, I can send you one video. We played one gig.
Yeah, one gig.
There were basically 5 of us who had never really played anything before, and then a guy who's a drummer, who's a music teacher drummer, and a girl she's a great vocalist, and she used to teach guitar. So those two taught. There were 5 of us. And we started jamming in the bike shop where I used to hang out, and the bike shop was moving shop, and so we said, right, we're going to do a gig for the launch of the new shop, and so we had to learn 5 songs. Ooh. By the time of that, and they taught us 5 songs, so I could play 5 songs, but that's about it.
Covers or originals?
Covers, yeah.
What was in that set then?
So we did Jumping Jack Flash, Here Comes Your Man.
Totally off topic. What do you think about Oasis reforming?
I loved Oasis when they first. Like, I went to see them in Preston, in UK. Someone sent me the picture of the flyer for it. They were 3rd on the bill, and the headline band was a band called the Boo Radleys, which at the time they hadn't had a hit.
Right.
They were quite it was a local park in Preston festival. So and Oasis were third on the bill, and I saw them there. I'd got a magazine that had a cassette on it that had one of their songs on it. Like, I want to go and see this band.
Right.
It was called, the song was Spaceman. I think it's on one of their albums. And I was like, I really want to go and see them. And so I saw them there, and I saw them about a year after that. And then I bumped into Noel Gallagher in the lift.
Oh yeah, right. Wow.
In a hotel in New York.
Wow.
I was there in, I think it was 94, 95. It was their first American tour. I was there on business, and literally I get in the lift and it's Noel Gallagher.
Wow.
All right, mate. All right, lad. That was it, though. I didn't have the balls to say you're the guy from Oasis. I was just like, but I knew who he was. He'd probably think I thought.
He probably would have punched him in the face, wouldn't he?
He probably didn't, because it was their first tour. He probably thought I didn't know who he was.
Yeah, right.
It was
coming from England, but like, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because Mick Hucknall was in the hotel as well,
right?
And he was on the same floor as the guy I worked with, and I said, and at the time you could go and rent, you could borrow CDs from reception, for your room, and I said to my mate, go and get the Simply Red CD and put it on really loud and see if he asks you to turn it down.
Yeah, right.
But we didn't do it. I wish we had.
So you got to meet him and Noel Gallagher on the same day?
Yeah, in the same hotel. Yeah, it was weird. They were both on tour. Wow. It's quite funny. But
so what was this hotel? Was it
It's called the Royalton Hotel in New York. It's kind of quite, at the time it's Philippe Stark Hotel. It's kind of it had just opened. It was like the hot spot to go and stay. I don't know how we got to stay there. When advertising had money.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't happen now. Yeah, so I kind of felt I liked their first two albums, and then I kind of felt that Liam was a bit of a dick, and I kind of went off him a bit. Yeah. I think I bought the third one, and then I never really followed him after that. But I have to say I always liked Noel Gallagher, Noel's stuff. I actually liked a lot of the songs I liked on the early Oasis albums was actually the ones that he sang. Yeah, not Liam.
Yeah, I saw Liam play in Sydney.
Yeah.
On one of the festivals, and he got booed off, and he flipped the bird. And
I think he's a bit of a dick. I think Noel's funnier and smart.
They only cheered for Morning Glory when he played the Oasis cover, and then he was playing all these new songs. Well, to be fair, they were quite good songs. I thought they were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started getting boos, and he just walked off and just said,
So yeah, I mean, it was bound to happen sooner or later. They just had to wait long enough for people to want to spend big money.
But that's what they were saying. That they were hinting. They've been hinting for the last couple of years, like saying, "Oh, if you got £50 million on you, we can still think about it." Yeah. I think they got triple or
Yeah,
so.
I mean, fair play to them. I mean, they've done.
Yeah,
they did make some great music, and they've still got the support of fans.
Oh.
And apparently, a lot of the people buying tickets are like young kids.
Yeah,
which is quite interesting. Yeah,
I was probably it's too young. No, I think they come to Australia once, and it was that like 94, 95.
Yeah,
I was too young to go to a concert like that.
Yeah,
my first one was AC/DC.
Oh wow,
96. So just missed Oasis. So
yeah,
if they do come to Japan or something like that, maybe I might consider.
I'd consider. I wouldn't fly back to the UK and go and watch them. The thing is, I don't really like seeing bands in big venues. I like small venues.
Me too.
Yeah, where you can actually see them and actually feel a bit more like you're actually.
And then if you want to go there, you want to go to the front, right? And then it costs you an arm and a leg to be gentle. Chop a finger off. Be gentle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you were at university, right? So it was art you were doing.
I did graphic design at uni.
Graphic design, right?
So I did a foundation course in basically art and design, and from that you kind of pick a direction. And I did graphic design. I always had this thing about filmmaking. I did graphic design. We did as part of the course for our my degree course. So it was a 4-year course with 1 year out. So the year out, I ended up going working for TV production companies. Did placements, work experience in production companies, and was like, that's what I want to do. And then before I went back to uni, that you have a chat with the people you've been working with, the mentors, and they said, well, there's two ways you can get into filmmaking. One is to just go and make tea and be a runner and work your way up, and the other way is go and work in advertising, get your experience, seeing how it all works, and then jump across and start directing like that. And it just took me 30 years to make the jump.
Yes.
So but I think the experience, the thing is, the experience I got from advertising is really invaluable I've been on so many film sets and shoots that I know how it all works and what everything is.
Yeah.
And now,
what are some of the highlights that stand out for you
in terms of in my career?
Yeah, doing shoot. Yeah.
I think one of the first shoots I ever did was with Joanna Lumley. Do you know?
Oh, right.
Who's like a really she's big, very sexy older lady who's been in the business for years. I think she was a Bond girl originally, and she was lovely. We would have been, I would have been 22 or something, and she was like Johnny Rotten. She sat next to us on the sofa between takes and chatted away.
That's great.
She was lovely, brilliant.
And people don't get to see that side of it. And probably Noel and Liam are probably the same.
They might be.
When you sit down to have a beer with them.
I think Noel might be. I don't know about Liam. I don't know. Some of them are, some are not. You meet.
They just play it up to the camera.
Yeah, a lot of them do. Yeah. A lot of them do. I mean,
my favourite band's Metallica and Lars Ulrich. They hate him in the media.
Yeah.
But I've met him a couple of times now.
Yeah.
He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
He'll do anything for you.
Yeah.
Hey, how was your flight? Was everything okay? Did you get a nice hotel? Is it close to the venue? You know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah.
You managed to get him on the podcast yet?
It's
one for the list.
It's my dream.
One for the list.
Yeah.
Never give up. Never give up on the dream, man.
Well, and plans for the future? Like, do you have any intention of going anywhere else for work, or you're happy to just take it year by year?
I'm loving it here. I mean, right now I'm in the happiest place I've been in work and life in a long, long time. I was my previous job. I was really miserable for about the last 3 or 4 years. I'd actually to the point where when I came back after COVID, I was ready to just go home. And then I started working with the people I'm working with now, and they're just such great people to work with. I'm doing what I love, and
that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It's not like going to work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So and then I just get excited about doing some little side thing, like the exhibition and photography. I've got a couple of other art ideas that I want to try and get off the ground. Completely different.
But that's good, it always keeps the brain ticking over, right?
Yeah, so I'm really happy here at the moment. I kind of think I'll stick it out as long as I can.
And social medias, how do we get in contact with you?
So you can find me on Instagram, small Paul. So two smalls, one Paul.
You couldn't just get small Paul?
I've got small Paul as well.
Okay.
So you can actually use either of them.
Okay.
Small Paul started off as a different project, but and I kind of used the small Paul one as more me, but it doesn't matter. I actually have another one as well, but you can find that by finding the others.
Okay.
I'll briefly tell you about that one if I'm not used up all your time.
Yeah.
It's called I Ate My Plate, and basically it's obviously everywhere you go, and it's not just a Chinese thing. It's like you go to a restaurant. First thing everyone does when they get the food is take a picture of it.
It's so Chinese.
So yes. I take a picture after I've finished eating it.
Me too. I've started doing it as well.
And I've got that. So that whole Instagram is just empty food.
Right.
So that one's called I Ate My Plate, which is I_ate _my_plate. If you want to find that one. Easiest way is at Small Paul.
Okay.
At Small Paul on Instagram and Twitter. But I don't use Twitter very much. My WeChat is small_Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Go and see the exhibition. You can scan a QR code there.
Yes. If you're able to go back in time and talk to a young Paul, what advice would you give it?
Don't be so shy. Just talk to people. Get out there and talk to people more. because I finally feel like there's so many opportunities missed because I didn't dare talk to someone. So just talk to people.
And you know what? I was like that as well until I come here.
Right. Good.
We're down to the final part. So it's your top 2 or 3 favorite things of all time. What is your 2 or 3 top favorite bands or artists of all time?
Of all time, I would have to say...
As of today,
Thither.
The what?
English band called Thither.
Okay.
Kind of indie guitar. Very good when you're a depressed teenager.
Right.
I'll send you a link to this. So
okay.
Great song. I always loved Depeche Mode because I think they've always kind of moved forward with the time. They've been together 30 years. They've progressed. They always make interesting stuff. Some of their albums are a bit shit, but most of them are really good. And today I love a new guy. It's a guy. So it's Fred again, who is a kind of DJ musician. He's classically trained musician who studied music at university or Oxford or something, but he makes really cool dance music. I can't stop listening to him at the moment.
Yeah, right.
That's current. Yeah,
right. And all right, what was the first album that you bought with your own money?
First album I bought with my own money was probably Dazzle Ships by OMD, which is another English electronic band. I kind of like electronic music. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably that.
What are your top 3 favorite albums of all time?
I would say Stone Roses' first album, definite. Soul Mining, Thither. I'd have to go for Ultra by Depeche Mode. Good choices. Bit of variety there too. Yeah.
Who are your favorite artists? Do you have any that you sort of inspire to?
I like Miro because I like his abstract. I like his abstract. He was of the pictures I've done. The one of his is my favourite, just because I like the original the most, but also I like the ridiculousness of what it made me create. I mean, how I copied it. I always like Warhol. A bit of a cliche, but I like Warhol because he was just, he was kind of an ad man. Really, he was, he made art commercial.
Right.
So I think he's cool. And then probably slightly more traditionally Picasso because he just broke molds. These kind of people.
The originator.
Yeah. So I kind of it's people who kind of a bit like my talk that was about them. The people who kind of move the genre a bit.
Yeah.
They kind of change things a bit by doing something different. Yeah.
Who's your greatest inspiration / hero and why?
I'd probably say David Bowie.
Interesting.
Music. He changed. He constantly kept changing his. He became different characters. He did different things. He was a very down to earth guy. He was very. He kept his family very private. He wasn't an ego. He always came across as very humble.
Yes.
And maybe he wasn't in the flesh. I don't know, but I've only heard things that he was, and incredibly creative. I was very sad when he died.
Yeah.
It was like a real loss, I think. Real loss.
But what a career. What a music
genius.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Paul,
it's been great.
Thank you very much
I
for
really
your time.
enjoyed it. No, I really enjoyed it. You're a great interviewer.
Keep up the good work. I love how you've gone from this real shy guy to someone that's really came into a new person now.
Still there.
Yeah.
Still there.
And I really like your creativity.
Thank you.
Continue to do that. Don't let anybody stop you do that.
I don't.
Yeah. People might laugh at it, but you're doing what you like to do. I really respect that. So keep doing it. Keep promoting anything that you want me to promote.
Thanks.
And all the best for the future.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Great
chat, man. I really enjoyed it.